And it may also change its flow. We've been looking at that a little bit as well. And there's a lot of pieces to this. I'll show you the one that gets the press. It's sort of fun. If you want to follow stories on this, it's neat. Meltwater goes to the bottom of Greenland, and it can thaw frozen beds, and it can make things flow faster. And how it gets to the bottom, a former student worked on this, Sarah Doss, as well as Ian Jochen, who's a colleague. And there's these big lakes in Greenland, and the big lakes in Greenland open up crevasses, and they drain to the bed. And here's Sarah over one of the crevasses, and they dump Niagara Falls for an hour into the Greenland ice sheet. And this is a process that can make the ice move faster. And so there's a lot of things that say we make it too warm and Greenland can shrink. Okay, now Greenland's a little pile, Antarctica's a big pile. There's only a tiny bit of warming going on in Antarctica in some places. Other places locally are warming fairly rapidly. But there's a little warming going on in Antarctica, and what do we find? As cold as it is, Antarctica is now contributing to sea level rise. It's shrinking and putting water in the ocean with fairly high confidence for just a little bit of warming. Okay? And what's going on there is a slightly different set of processes. Very interesting one. I'll just show you one of them here. Down here at the bottom, if you can see it, we're in Antarctica, and we're going to go right here to the peninsula, you know, that finger that sticks up towards South America. The white on this map is ice that's sitting on rock, and the green on this map is ice that's still attached but is floating. It's called an ice shelf. And the ice shelves run out, and here's an ice shelf over here, which is running out from the great spine of the peninsula. The flow comes out here, and then it breaks off in the ocean out here, and there's friction with islands. And so that friction holds back the shelf, and the shelf holds back the ice behind it. And this place has been getting warmer, and there's now meltwater in the cracks. This particular ice shelf formed 10,000 years ago as the ice sheet shrank from the Ice Age. It sat there for 10,000 years until January 31st of 2002, and then over the next month it changed. So let me first make the labels go away, and then let me make the ice shelf go away. And it fell apart. And you'd drive your kayak through this hash up here. Now, this is already floating. It doesn't raise sea level. But when that became unplugged, this thing is now going 8 times faster. That does raise sea level. Fortunately, there's only a little tiny bit of ice behind that one to raise sea level. You can't do much there. What happens if it gets warmer down here or over here? There is a lot more ice behind it. And so we're seeing a little bit of warming is causing a rise in sea level from acceleration to flow, and we get a little nervous that a lot of warming might cause a lot of acceleration. And we haven't quite gotten to the point yet of doing that. I helped the National Academy, chaired this particular panel, Abrupt Climate Change. We looked at things like North Atlantic shutdown or ice sheet collapse. Other people are thinking about ecosystem discontinuities. They're thinking changes in El Niños and other sorts of things. What we found, what other people are finding, if you're worried about tipping over the canoe and having a tipping point, if you lean really slowly and carefully, it's not as likely to tip as if you go really fast and hard. And so what do we find is that larger or faster changes make it more likely that we're going to trigger one of these nasty things. And when the IPCC asked the experts, how worried are you? The bigger the change, the more worried the experts were. Now remember, if none of this happens, the impacts of the warming are such that coupling the climate model to the economic model says that you would be wise to start investing now. And the ethicist says you would be wise to start investing more now. But when you put the uncertainties in, fast, large changes might dump an ice sheet. Fast, large changes might cause a discontinuity in something that's out there and bring really huge, really fast changes to a whole lot of people. Okay? So we come back to where we are, and we've got a best estimate, and that best estimate says if you want to optimize the economy, get in the game now. And yeah, things might be a little better, and they might be a little worse, but we've got a long tail of this distribution. And the harder and faster we kick the climate, the more likely we are to end up in that long tail and fly into a cliff somewhere. Okay, so what I want you to do is remind you to watch out for the long tail of the distribution. It's right out there. Because long tails of distributions can be fairly dangerous, and they really can bite you if you're not careful. And so when you look at the uncertainties, what do we know? A lot of people say, well, wait until you're sure. Just make sure that the science is all the way there, you're positive. All right. Now, in fact, we don't do that with anything else in the world. You may not pass a budget until you're absolutely positive, 100% sure you know what the economics are going to do. Okay? If you put the uncertainties in, the models that I've seen tend to say, well, invest more now because buy insurance against what's coming. Okay? Some of us do buy insurance, and we have airbags in our cars. High scientific confidence. Our actions, our fossil fuel burning and other things are changing the climate. That's affecting us and others. The changes so far are very small compared to what can happen under business as usual. The changes do, some people might be winning now, more losers, and the losers come to dominate completely as we run into the future. There really are cost-effective solutions, and response does appear economically wiser than business as usual. And if we slow down, maybe you can tame that long tail. And long tails are tameable. And I want to leave you with an iceberg and a rainbow. It really is possible to have both. And thank you so much.